Oh, a microphony.
And a phony at the mic.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The Doctor of Discernment is now online.
You know, much like my show, in that it's a local reaction to things that are happening on a federal level.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Wow, do I have a boatload of stuff for you, from the crazy to the absurd. Let's start getting into it because, I mean, it is bizarro world out there. And I say, if it's obvious to me, should be obvious to everybody. Oh, wow. Who could have seen this coming?
This is the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage.
Hold on to your butts.
Broadcasting from my basement bunker beneath Keller Radio. Welcome to the Fourth Hour of the Greg Belfrage Show. It is great to have you along. This is really troubling stuff. There was blood found. You know, the search has been ongoing for Savannah Guthrie's mom, and there was blood found in her home. So authorities aren't saying a lot about it. The blood was found alongside of signs of forced entry and a struggle in the house where she lives. Investigators believe she was taken from the home against her will, possibly in the middle of the night. So detectives are looking into this as a possible kidnapping. Police announced a $2,500 reward. They're looking for any information they can find. Images, videos, if there's any details whatsoever. Police were saying the sheriff also, while speaking about it today, choked up as he described the search. He was speaking to CBS 5, and he was asked, you know, in terms of rescue versus recovery, I know you're still calling it a search and rescue. I also know your homicide detectives are part of this investigation. Do you believe you are still looking for Nancy Guthrie alive at this point, that she could be held somewhere? And if so, you know, where do you think she is? And the police chief choked up. He said, we're not going to give up hope. We hope that she's out there somewhere. So then the reporter said, so you still believe this is an active rescue mission? And he said, we hope so. Are you actively DNA testing any items of evidence from the house now? And he said, we actually are. So now we have our own DNA rapid testing. And of course, we use a lab, but we've been told that the system here in Tucson is down. So we ran that up to Phoenix yesterday, he said. So hopefully we'll know something from Phoenix that we can maybe get to our labs and get a rush order done. So this is, can you imagine that? Apparently some kind of struggle, at least it appears that way, because they're finding blood. I don't know how much blood they're finding in Nancy Guthrie's home, but it is, that is really a troubling story. Can you imagine that? Someone breaking into your, coming to your home in the middle of the night. Certainly that's the way it appears, that she was taken from her home in the middle of the night. Is pretty deeply troubling stuff. This is an interesting piece over at townhall.com. Matt Vespa is a writer at Town Hall that I really like. He can get saucy. He can get saucy. So he's talking about Minneapolis being a war zone. And he says it's been that way since Renee Good was killed on January 7th and so on. And he says the left-wing lynch mobs, most of them exclusively white, crusty boomers and shrill progressive women, have done everything they could to disrupt ICE raids. They have an elaborate system of encrypted chats that coordinate unlawful interference operations to enforce federal immigration law. And he says they're psychos. And now we have these checkpoints. Get a load of this. This is what's still going on up in Minneapolis. They're blocking cars to run searches on people's license plates. So if you just happen to be driving through one of these areas and they are set up there, they stop you and they are doing checks on your license plate to find out as to whether or not you work for, DHS or you're a law enforcement. They're looking for any information to see if you're a part of what's going on. That has got to be illegal. How can that? I mean, the idea that that you are stopping citizens as they're transiting, that is just mind blowing. And then he says, these people aren't trained police. They're left-wing clowns, he says, with no lives, likely paid by Marxist organizations to foment chaos. This is an unreasonable search and seizure. So it's okay to be unlawful toward the police if your feelings dictate such lunacy. This is just crazy. Man, this is nothing but mayhem that we have seen in Minneapolis. So they're stopping folks now, running checks and determining who they are and whether or not they have. The idea that anybody can decide as to whether or not I have a lawful right to be there and to be present. And this is how crazy this stuff has gotten. And again, this is all organized and financed by people who are not believers in a strong country, your independence and your freedom. And it's just chilling to watch, because I think we're seeing signs of what could happen in the future unless we see some really serious change. Unless we see some serious change and people saying no to this kind of lunacy and this crackpot kind of division that has really just torn our country apart. It's shocking to me. You can find more on that piece at townhall.com. Also, I want you to get a load of this. This is a story from Breitbart this morning. Breitbart, this is a judge that was appointed by President Joe Biden, blocking Donald Trump from terminating Joe Biden's award. Remember, Joe Biden had given temporary protected status to 35 illegal migrant Haitians. So they were from Haiti. They're in the country illegally. And Joe Biden had awarded them temporary protected status. Well, Donald Trump comes along and says, no, we're not doing this. We're not playing this game. So he withdraws it. And you have a judge now stepping in, Judge Anna Reyes, or I'm mispronouncing that, forgive me, Reyes, I think. Judge Anna Reyes, an immigrant, Harvard graduate, claims she is still allowed to review the process of the TPS determination. So she decided that the administration's process was illegitimate because skilled U.S.-based Haitians do not want to go home to their island because it's terrible. I mean, despite the UN being there and peacekeeping forces, they don't want to go back. The judge also is staying the president's termination, and you get the White House responding to this judge. And this is where the battle is being fought. You had Republicans now who have won Congress barely now at this point. You have more, elections have been taking place, more Democrats who have been winning seats. I think in the House of Representatives now, Republicans are down to a 1-vote majority. That is slim, baby. So Tricia McLaughlin responding to this, she is a spokeswoman for the Department of Homeland Security. She said, this is lawless activism. She said, Stephen Miller said was talking about this judge. He said an unelected judge has just ruled that elections, laws, and borders don't exist. And he says that this is judicial tyranny that we're seeing. He said we're living under a judicial tyranny. So what this does is it slows Trump down. It slows Trump down, and they want it very much for Trump to get wrapped up in all of this. These judges, it prevents Trump from being able to move forward. So these Democrat judges are doing everything they can to throw up obstacles in front of Trump and slow him down until he or Republicans are no longer in power. And God help us, America goes back to the way it was. And this is really kind of chilling. And I think it's not unexpected. Greg Price over at Fox News is responding to this, and he's somebody I just greatly appreciate. A lot of people are their jaws are dropping, and I think you have to pay attention to what these judges are doing and what they're saying and the steps that they're taking, trying to get really stop the president's agenda from being implemented. That at least at this point, that's their only hope, is the judicial branch. And this is one of the reasons why I pray for our members of the Supreme Court, because that seems to be, I won't say it's the only court where law and order and the Constitution prevails right now, but certainly in some of these places and some of these Biden era judges, I would be very much be in favor of reducing the number of federal judges that we have. Just based on what we see. Does America really have a need for, and again, I'm not speaking to that except as a gut reaction, just because I'm tired of the judicial activism. So then it leads me to wonder, are these people really needed? What job are they actually doing that benefits the country rather than stops the country from being able to move forward? We talked about the Grammys a little bit yesterday, not a lot. It's just, for me, it's not a big issue. It's there, it's gone. It's like Groundhog Day. It was yesterday. It's okay. It's there, it's gone. I forget about it. Billie Eilish had a speech during the Grammys. And now you've got a Native American tribe that owns the land under Billie Eilish's Los Angeles mansion is saying that celebrities should explicitly reference the tribes if they're trying to virtue signal, which is what Billie Eilish was doing. And so now it's the Tongva tribe confirmed that her home, her $3 million home, sits on their ancestral land. And so they're saying, if you are going to then talk about, because she at the Grammys the other night, this is not our land, it's stolen land. And so now you've got this tribe who's stepping forward and say, yeah, in fact, it was stolen, and the property that your mansion is sitting on belonged to us. And I'm like, man, she walked right into that. It's absolutely walked right into that. And so a spokesperson for the tribe said Eilish has not contacted our tribe directly regarding our property. We do value the instance when public figures provide visibility to the true history of this country. It's Billie Eilish got pretty mocked for the statements that she made. You had people who were yelling F ICE from the stage. It's Florida Governor Ron DeSantis had said on X, oh, gee, this stolen land nonsense again. maybe she should step up and forfeit her California or Southern California mansion since it is supposedly on stolen land. Don't hold your breath, my friends. Do not hold your breath. Also, I don't know, this headline from Axios kind of caught my attention. Why the Epstein scandal may never die. And I'm like, maybe in the minds of the left, how much do you think about it? Now, again, a lot. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm not. What it is for the left is like everything else. It's a weapon. The idea that the left is out there and trying to improve the lives of Jeffrey Epstein's victims or women, or I don't believe that for a moment. I don't accept that that's what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do is use it, especially to go after people. The left just loves to sit in moral judgment of everyone else. They love that. They sit in moral judgment of everybody else. So everybody who visited Epstein, and especially because, Trump had a relationship with Epstein, which Trump called it off, did not go to Epstein Island. Trump was out of the loop. I think as I have watched this unfold, it seemed like, at least for a while to me, they were just desperately hoping that there was something there that they could use against Donald Trump. And I've told you before, if there was, you and I would have known it during the Biden administration. Because they were sitting on all of these documents, the federal government had them. So you and I would have known if Donald Trump was somehow wrapped up with Epstein, or there were things that were going on there. You and I would have known, because they would have used it to bury him. And because they didn't, then I think you're pretty reasonably assume that Trump was not involved with Jeffrey Epstein. And so here, Axios just doesn't want to give up this story. The internet is awash in speculation, suspicion, and disgust over the millions of new pages of Jeffrey Epstein files released by the Justice Department. So here we are. Okay, we've got millions of files now that have been released, all this additional information that it's now out there, and DOJ is clawing some of that back. They want to respect Epstein's victims. So some of this information has been released, and DOJ is now saying, oh, yeah, that should not have been released. We're going to take that back. We want to protect the identity of victims and so on. But this whole thing is just, and of course, Axios and their left-wing nutball view, this has metastasized beyond the Trump administration's control. And I'm like, really? How much time and effort do you sit? And some of you, I know do. I'm not saying it's totally illegitimate, but really, how much time and effort do you spend worrying about Jeffrey Epstein? And he's dead. I think let's protect the victims. Let's do what we can for them. But what remains to be done? Meanwhile, country's falling apart. We got, leftist judges who are trying to interfere with Trump in every way that they can. Jeffrey Epstein on the hierarchy of concerns. So again, I'm not saying he's not a concern, but on the hierarchy of concerns, it's nowhere near the top of my list, just absolutely nowhere. And the media is just absolutely obsessed, especially the left-wing media. So it kind of makes me shake my head. So if you are not a subscriber of the Fourth Hour on YouTube, I hope you'll consider becoming one. Hit that subscribe button if you would. I'd appreciate it. We're shooting for towards 600 and getting closer. So please give us a nudge. That would be very much appreciated. Also, hit that like button if you would on whatever platform you're watching, whether it's Facebook. Please hit like. If you're watching on X, share it, comment, repost it. All of that makes a difference, and it's very, very much appreciated. All right, my friend, you have made it to the end of today's show, so you are part of my gallery of champions. Special salute to the Bunker Brigade, who are here each and every day commenting on YouTube. Appreciate all of you so much. Want to wish you a great Tuesday. So long until tomorrow, my friend. And I'm underground.